All right. Um, so as you guys read the work safety thing this week, so what are your guys' kind of thoughts on the overall thought of it? So like it talks about how uh, Martin's about to go, and she's preparing for that meeting at 9 a.m. the next day, where they're going to decide whether or not they should stick with the old safety plan or come up with a new, more intense safety plan. Um, what are your thoughts on that? What position would you guys advocate for that?
I think intense safety is always better. I don't know of any bad time. I worked in a sawmill over the period of like 6 years and seen people get their fingers sawed off before. And it was good to see over those years things constantly improving. Like it was always like idea that there must be room for improvement in everything that we can do, even if it means we lower production. It was better overall because I don't want to work at some place where my life is at risk. So
I can't blame you. Um, it's always a good thing to be moving in that positive direction. Um, so did you guys get to the end with the like the letter about the dude getting fired?
Yeah.
I haven't yet.
Um, well, so at the end, this guy basically uh, he had this guy do some electrical work, but he didn't like prepare the area or get anything like take the safety precautions, and the guy ended up slipping and he got a second-degree burn on his arm and his hand, and he like dislocated his shoulder. And they want to fire the guy. They said the problem is he's a good supervisor, he has a great crew, and everyone really likes him. But this is his third incident in the last year. Um, and they think that he's just not taking safety seriously, and so they're thinking of firing him. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that he should?
Like me personally, I feel like I'd be really reluctant to fire anyone. I I feel like I wouldn't make up my mind until we like talk to him. I would have like a meeting with him and just kind of like get his side of it and like see how he feels. And if he still doesn't seem like, I mean, it's happened 3 times, right? So if you don't get the feeling that he um, is willing to work harder at it, then yeah, I think you probably have to let him go. Like if the company wants to have that image of safety first kind of thing, you can't have supervisors like that.
Yeah, there really needs to be an accountability because I've worked with a couple of people at the sawmill where I didn't want them to walk up next to me because I felt less safe in their presence. Like they're very helpful, very nice guys, but like they were known to be like, okay, don't get too close to him. If he tries to help you, don't accept the help because he might make it worse by being trying to be helpful. I mean, even if it's just damage to self, sometimes it's just at a certain point you got to be like, even though you are trying and you're a good person, like in the general interest of everyone here, it is not. Even if you're trying, but you're more prone to accidents, at a certain point, you got to say you're not suitable for this environment to handle it. Like you don't want to do that, but it's good to have like a strike system, and you can recover from that. Like they had where I worked at, they had a strike system, but if you work so many years without an accident, then it would start to rewrite itself. But if you have a clear history, like I wouldn't want my life at risk, at least for someone else, even if they're trying but are prone to mistakes more than others.
Yeah, I can really agree with that. So, do you think, would you say it's the guy's fault for the incident happening, the supervisor?
Um, I wouldn't say that's necessarily his fault, but he definitely contributed to the hazards. Like,
Okay.
the guy could have slipped and hurt himself anyway, but because the manager didn't um make him follow the safety hazards, I'm sure he got hurt more than he would have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Like there's
it
always
could
gonna be that risk, but he
it could
basically
still
increased the hazard.
yeah, it could still be someone else's fault in general, but we also need to be aware, like stepping on loose material, that should be something we should be looking for. Like it's a culture of safety that you have to build up with everyone and not assuming that everyone else is doing their part. Like, you know, it's like it's hard to talk about a lot, but it's just like I've worked in that field where you have to lock down things, and if you assume things, you're gonna die. And so like you always have to assume that you're the only one who knows the current situation and no one else. You can't trust other people per se. And so I would say, yeah, it could definitely be someone else's fault for leaving a hazardous situation, but you gotta approach it correctly at the same time too. You gotta be eagle-eyed. So sorry not to bring it up so much. I've had a lot of direct experience with like working with like electrical lines and locking out equipment and stuff, where if someone else were to turn it on because they assumed that you weren't there, or whoever was at fault, it doesn't really matter in that instance because you're both at fault.
Yeah.
No, that's very true. Well, and so for this next part, I was supposed to put you guys into groups, but because it's just the two of you, um, we're just going to kind of discuss it. So if you actually look at the like examples they have in the case study, it shows that the more like safety oriented the company is, the the number of hours to produce like the work, like the same amount of work goes down.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you're not dealing with the issues that come from not being safe.
Yeah.
Like you might appear to have greater like thorough put, but overall you're still having to stop to handle the bumps in the road.
so what do you guys think that productivity goes up when it's safer? Like, what do you think is like the main cause behind that?
Um,
Go ahead.
well, I mean, kind of like what you said, as far as then you're not dealing with the fallout of injuries or whatever. I can't even imagine like what would happen when that one guy was killed by the forklift. Like, do you send people home? Do you give them like the day off? Or like, I can't imagine like being around that or like seeing that happen and still like working that day, you know? And that, and I thought it was cool. I think it was the CEO who said it. I don't remember what the name was, but they talked about how the safer they are equals, or like their way of getting safer means that they're going to understand the process better. And so since they understand the processes better, they're going to be more efficient, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so then the thing that kind of comes to question is so the company's done a lot of work to help improve safety, and they've seen the productivity go up, but accidents are still happening to a certain degree.
Right.
And the most common mistake is it's because it's just mistakes made by people. So, what I guess which type of problem do you guys think is easier to solve? The ones that just cost money to fix, or the ones that involve people's behavior?
Money.
Really?
Are you saying which one is easier to fix?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I had my head. It was mixed up.
Well, yeah,
So,
like if
so
it's
which
a
one
guarantee,
you think the money ones are easier to fix?
well, if it's like a guaranteed fix, if I throw money in it at it, then yeah, that's easier. Like people are pretty hard to change, and like you can never be 100% sure that someone will be like 100% changed. You know, people will still do dumb things, no matter how much training they have.
Yeah.
They'll make mistakes.
It's definitely hard to get people to change what they're doing who are around the accidents. I'd also say it can be hard to get the culture to change up above. Like, even though money could easily solve it, it can be really hard to convince someone to spend money to be safe when all they should do is just tell the people to be safer instead.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, in general, like throwing the money at it, like there are some people who just don't care. Like at the bottom end, they're just like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to think about what I'm doing in general. Like as long as I continue to make it to the next day, and no one's riding up my butt, just like trying to get me to do my job. Like I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing, and if there's an issue, I'm not going to raise it as long as things keep on working out fine for the moment. Yeah, I would say in general, it's a lot harder to get people to change their attitude, but it can also be hard to get the culture to change up above too, because you got to show some signaling that it does matter from up above too. If no one's going to spend their money to like take time to train you and stuff, and all they're going to do is harp on you about production and stuff, it's going to be hard to want to be safe at the same time.
Absolutely. So, what were some of the stuff that Mission Valley did to improve its safety record?
So I know, like, with the whole forklift thing, they instituted like the 4 mile per hour speed limit, and they had like the roads marked at different areas for like pedestrians versus vehicles. And there's someone with the sound where I think in like louder areas than the like pedestrians had right away. So vehicles were more responsible to watch out in those areas.
Well, and they also started using cranes, didn't they?
Oh yeah, that as well.
As well.
Started doing that.
So do you think making changes like that will help them move like towards their goal of being, really safety oriented?
Yeah.
So what do you think they could do to help convince people to behave differently? Like try to motivate their workers and their supervisors to be safer and to want to be safer?
For me, I think the biggest thing is showing them that you actually care about them as individuals and not about that your life is more important than the job and not the other way around. Because a lot of times it's like when they talked about Alcoa, the culture was we're tough guys and we just accept it. This is tough work and we just do it, instead of like accepting like, hey, we could also do work and be safe because our lives are important too. Because I just think that if you're able to actually spend the money and time to say, hey, we're not working right now and we're not making any money, but in the long run, it's better because we're protecting you guys, not just because you're an asset to us, but also because you matter. Like that's my personal opinion, is if you actually show that you're willing to sacrifice money for the workers, then they'll respect that more instead of feeling like their job's on the line.
No, and I think what you said really ties into like the key of it. The company has a big culture and a big community built around it, and if they put the focus in saying, look, you're our people, we care about you and we want to protect you, there's a lot more motivation than saying, you won't be able to work as well if you don't do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and so here's a question, I guess, for you guys personally. Do you always follow safety procedures in your day-to-day lives? For example, do you always wear your seatbelts? Do you avoid texting in like dangerous places? Do you cross in crosswalks? Like those kind of things?
Yeah, for the most part. I could definitely be better about like being on my phone while I'm driving, but I also recognize not doing it in like high speed areas or like dangerous areas. That's one thing that like I guess pet peeve or just like slays me how fast some people go in parking lots where someone could pop out from behind a car in half a second, and if you're going faster than you should be, then it's just like recipe for disaster kind of thing. But I'd say for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, me as well. It's really easy to justify when you feel like your need is great enough, but for the most part, I try with everything. Like, and this is, I suppose you could say this as an example. In Idaho, it's not illegal to use your phone while driving per se. But in Washington, it's explicitly illegal basically to even touch your phone. And so you have to have it set aside, or you have to have it set up as like an in-vehicle like you basically without touch operation. And just having that rule helps me, honestly. Whenever I think about, oh, maybe I could get away with it right now, I just say nope. Like, I don't want to get caught.
No, it's very true. I know that's something I struggle with. Is I use my phone when I drive, and it drives I know it drives my friend nuts because where he's from, it's illegal. And he always tells me to stop, and I don't because I'm irresponsible. But but I guess the hard thing is I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't hit anybody or anything, and I always try to do it smartly. So I guess in my head I rationalize that, oh, it's not a big deal. But I bet that would change if I got into an accident because of it.
Yeah.
So
hard habit to break.
So let me see here, because now the next part we're supposed to discuss Linda's plan. Okay. I think this is it.
I would need to reread that part. I don't remember about Linda's plan.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why I'm trying to find it. It says there's the 8-step quality improvement process. There's the safety problem resolution procedure. Do you think that's it?
Well, the only thing I remember as far as that is her supervisor or whoever she's going to meet wanted her plan for the next year, and she had made a plan that was similar to like what they've done in the past, but she was wondering if she needs to like redo one that's a little bit more radical.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
That's the only thing I remember as far as like plan.
Oh, okay. See Exhibit 11. Let me see.
Oh, are we supposed to look at the exhibits? Come on.
I know, right?
Who does that?
Exhibit 11. Okay. So it's monitor complete implementation of recommendations on falls, establish a reporting procedure, provide detailed tracking and report. 2, conduct stage 3 training for all supervisors and lead operators. 3, publish a biweekly newsletter on safety in plant. 4, improve safety committee operation. 5, establish safety recognition program. Awards and dinner based on performance and improvement. 6, meet with superintendents on a monthly basis to review safety performance, improve the meetings, and the monthly reports. So which ones do you think will help the company reach its goal about being extremely safety oriented?
What was the last one you read?
Meet with superintendents on a monthly basis to review safety performance.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like having consistent meetings like that, like set meetings. But also there's like the dinner one. I feel like whenever you reward good behavior, then that's gonna spread, you know.
I think I like the one where it says improve safety committee operations. It says train committee leaders at the crew level. I think that will help to reinforce those better behaviors.
Uh-huh.
One that I'm not so sure of is the publish a bi-weekly newsletter on safety in plant. I think that's a little dumb to be honest.
You think anyone would like read it?
I think that would be more effective if it was like a required like presentation, but like having a newsletter doesn't really help. Something
Yeah, nobody like goes to work and they're like, "Oh boy, I get to go read the safety newsletter."
Yeah.
Something I liked at the sawmill is that we had every year guaranteed we had to go through, read all the policies basically for the entire sawmill, but we also had to watch the safety videos over again, and we had to take quizzes with it each year, not just like once and done. Like, And if there was a change, we had to reread on that. And having a time set aside that we were also paid, it wasn't like we had to do it on our own time. Like that was good. And then I can also speak to the rewards. The rewards are nice. It kind of was the having that sign in front that says how many days without an accident, and then if you knew you reached so many, then you get like a hat or something. Like it's something stupid, but at the same time, it's kind of just like a slight amount of pride when you feel like everyone's doing their part just enough that we can make it, you know. And then
Yeah.
you kind of like soul crushed when you almost made it to a year, and then someone like messed up.
Yeah.
If
I
you
was gonna
take it
say that
seriously, it helps.
I was thinking that newsletter might actually be a good idea if it was really short and it was just like a word of encouragement and maybe said like, hey, we've gone this long, or like there's this many accidents this year that's down from, or like this month or whatever, and that's down. It's a good job, guys. Like just like a really short word of encouragement, that might be a good idea. But like if it's too long or like too many numbers or whatever, yeah, I don't think anyone would read it. But I think like if it's done correctly, it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys think there's anything that's really missing from those changes?
I don't know.
Well, one that kind of sticks out to me is in response to what happened, is probably have some sort of disciplinary action for supervisors and leaders who fail to follow safety procedures on numerous occasions.
Yeah, so something already like laid out so they know to expect that.
Well, yeah, because it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you look at this one guy. I'm sure he's a great leader and stuff, but it's happened 3 times under him
Yeah.
within a year. It's kind of like, okay, man, like you're obviously not getting something, or and you don't want to just fire the guy, but it's like you need something a little harsher to make you realize that you're hurting people by not doing the safety procedures. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I think something that's helpful is if they had like an external audit. Um, that's something that we would do. We would allow, it was like the University of Gonzaga or something. They had like an OSHA program there for people who were going into safety training. And so they weren't actually the government, but we'd have them come and audit us and say what we needed to work for, like from an external perspective. Because sometimes you can be working there for a long time and not see an obvious flaw just because you're used to it. And
Yeah.
I think that could be a good thing, is have external auditors just about safety, not like taxes or business or something, but just on safety to help you maybe see things that you're missing. I think that could be added, maybe.
I think that's an excellent idea.
That's a good idea.
All right. And then seeing as like pretty much everybody in the whole town works at Mission Valley, do you think that creates any opportunities for them to like any opportunities for them in improving the company like that?
Unionize and require safety requirements, but I don't know. They have their culture of being tough, so.
Well, because one way it talks about is maybe involving like the community or the families, even, like I don't know, it's kind of a dirty thing. Oh, if your son says, "Hey, you need to, really work safety stuff because you can hurt yourself or others," he's like, "Yeah, whatever. Don't tell me how to do my job." Come to you and say, "Dad, if you don't, I don't want you to not come home from work because you're being stupid." That's kind of a different feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe get a way to involve the families.
Yeah. Actually, I was thinking about that earlier with like the culture, try to change the culture from you have to be tough to work here or whatever to something more of like, you gotta be, you gotta care about your family to work here kind of thing. And like make them somehow be thinking of their family while they're working. Like you're not going to be unsafe and like take big risks when you're thinking about your family.
Yeah. We're all better off if everyone makes it home. It's not better to go in with the expectation that maybe you won't come back.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I definitely agree. Well, awesome. About covers everything. So did you guys learn anything from this case that you'd apply like future work cases or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking a lot about how they were talking about the difference between like supervisors and stuff, and I don't think much about that compensation and who's responsible in the end. Like, it's good to have across the board responsibility, not just in one area. It's not just to the workers, it's not just to the supervisors, but everyone. It definitely helps.
I definitely agree with that. How did you guys feel like today's discussion went? If you had to rate it from like 1 to 10,
Fantastic. 9.5.
sweet.
I'll give you a 9.8.
Oh man, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this praise over here. Awesome.
You can round it up if you want, though.
Well, thank you. Alrighty. Is there anything I could do better for next time?
Meet on Friday.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
scheduling conflict, but yeah, we'll make sure to plan for next Friday. And I think the 7 Mountain Time is what we were doing before. Should we just stick to that?
Yeah, that's fine.
So are we moving, because we've been doing 8 Mountain Time consistently, are we moving back to 7?
Have we been doing 8 Mountain Time?
Recently, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with whatever.
No, let's go to 7 Mountain Time. That works for me.
Okay, and yeah, we'll just plan for 7 then.
Yeah, and you've already done this twice, right? So you don't have to do the next leadership assignment. Like, you're in charge, but you don't have to do any assignment, right?
Oh, I really don't?
Yeah, I think you only have to do it twice, as far as like turning in anything.
Oh, so I have to do 2 leadership assignments, and then I don't have to do another one.
Yeah,
Right.
so you still might be the leader, but I don't think you have to do any assignment with it.
Okay, well that'll be nice.
I think that's what it says when I was looking it up. Like, you do it twice, and because we're supposed to have more people in our group, but I think we're all going to do it 3 times. We're close.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. Well, do what you guys can to help finish up the doohickey thing as well, and still no word from Kevin, so I don't know what's going on with him. I emailed him as well, so hope everything's okay.
Yeah.
But if I don't hear or see anything, I'll try and work on an introduction and a close before we turn it in.
Okay, I'm going to post my section in an hour or 2.
No problem. Alrighty, guys. Well, good meeting. And I will see you next week.
All right, and just to make sure, the turn-in is in the morning at 7 Mountain Time, I believe.
Yeah, I'll make sure to get it in tonight.
Okay. All right.
So awesome. Well, you guys have a good night.
Talk to you guys next week.